A song comes on, or an advert, the one with the old man and the dog, and out of nowhere, your throat tightens and your eyes sting, and you have to look away so nobody sees. And the person next to you, nothing, they didn't even glance up. You felt this your whole life. A room full of people is somehow too much. The noise, the lights, the chatter, and you need to step outside just to breathe. A piece of music can stop you where you stand, and somewhere along the way, someone looked at you and said the words you've heard 100 times. You're too sensitive, and a small part of you believed them. So here's the question you've probably never been allowed to ask out loud. What if there's nothing wrong with you at all? What if the thing they called a weakness is a real, measurable feature of your nervous system, and you were built this way on purpose? This is Pondara, things you never thought to wonder about. And if any of that sounded like you are not rare, and you are certainly not broken. Somewhere between a fifth and a third of all people are wired the way you are, and not just people. The same trait shows up in over 100 other species, from fruit flies to fish to primates. Evolution doesn't keep a mistake around in 100 species for millions of years. It keeps a strategy. What you've been calling too sensitive has a name in the research and a brain signature you can see on a scanner. And the strangest part isn't how much you feel, it's why feeling that much turns out to be an advantage. But to get there, we have to start with the explanation you've been handed your whole life, the one that's wrong. The story you've been told is simple. You're delicate, thin-skinned. You feel things too strongly because something in you is a little weaker than everyone else. Like your emotional volume knob is broken, stuck on loud. The fix, everyone agrees, is to toughen up. Grow a thicker skin. Be more like the person on the sofa who didn't even look up. But that doesn't survive a single look at the actual science. Because when researchers measured what's happening inside a highly sensitive person, they didn't find a weaker brain, or a louder alarm, or thinner skin. They found something nobody expected. Your senses aren't more sensitive. Your ears aren't sharper. Your eyes aren't keener. The difference isn't at the door where the world comes in. It's deeper inside, in what your brain does with everything once it's through the door. You're not feeling more because you're weak. You're feeling more because you're processing more. And that one word changes the entire story. In the late 1990s, two psychologists, Elaine and Arthur Aron, gave the thing a proper name: sensory processing sensitivity. And they found it has 4 signatures, summed up in a single word: DOES. Depth of processing, overstimulation, emotional reactivity and empathy, and sensitivity to subtleties. Start with the first one, because everything else grows out of it. Depth of processing. A highly sensitive brain doesn't just take in an experience, it runs it deeper. It compares it to everything it's ever felt, turns it over, links it to meaning, before it ever lets go. The same song, the same room, the same passing comment goes in through the same door as everyone else's, and then travels much, much further inside. And we can see this happen. When the Arons and Bianca Acevedo put highly sensitive people in a brain scanner and showed them faces, happy ones, sad ones, one region lit up more than anywhere else: the insula. Scientists sometimes call it the seat of awareness, because it's where your brain pulls together your body, your feelings, and the moment you're in, into the felt sense of being here, now. In a sensitive brain, it runs hotter. So does the network for empathy, the circuits that mirror what other people feel, as if it were happening to you. That's not a metaphor. When you walk into a room and instantly know something is wrong before a word is spoken, that's this system, reading the air. You're not imagining it, you're measuring it. And it goes deeper than the brain. It's partly written in your genes, There's a variation in a gene that handles serotonin, the short form of something called 5-HTT-LPR, that shows up more often in highly sensitive people, alongside variants in the dopamine system. For years, scientists called these the bad genes, the ones linked to anxiety and depression. Hold that thought, because it's about to mean something completely different. Because if you process everything deeper, every sound, every face, every flicker of mood in the room, then a loud, crowded place isn't overwhelming because you're fragile. It's overwhelming because you are taking in and processing more of it than the people around you. The overwhelm isn't weakness, it's a full inbox. You're not failing to cope with the room, you're handling more room than they are. For a long time, the science only saw half the picture. It looked at sensitive people in hard environments, stress, neglect, chaos, and found they suffered more anxiety, more depression. And it concluded, sensitivity is a vulnerability. But then researchers asked the question nobody had thought to ask. What happens to these same people in a good environment? And the answer rewrites everything. Psychologists call it the orchid and the dandelion. Most people are dandelions. They grow well almost anywhere, bad soil or good, steady either way. But some people are orchids. In harsh conditions, an orchid struggles where a dandelion wouldn't. But give an orchid the right soil, warmth, care, beauty, and it doesn't just match the dandelion. It blooms into something the dandelion never can. This is the discovery that turns the whole thing inside out. Those same genes, the ones we called the bad ones, turned out not to be vulnerability genes at all. They're sensitivity genes, plasticity genes. They don't only make the bad hit harder, they make the good land deeper. Researchers gave it a name, Vantage sensitivity. Sensitive people don't just absorb more pain from a difficult life, they draw more joy, more meaning, more beauty out of a good one. The crying at the song, the chills from the music, the way a sunset can stop you. That's not the same trait misfiring. It's the same depth of processing you were told to be ashamed of, pointed at something beautiful. You were never just the one who feels the bad too much. You're the one who feels the good more than they ever will. They just never told you the second half. So, that moment. The song comes on, your throat tightens, and you look away so nobody sees you feel it. The crowded room that's somehow too much. The 100 times someone told you you're too sensitive. Now you know what was really happening. You weren't being weak in that room. You were processing more of it than anyone around you. You didn't cry at the song because something in you is broken. You cried because your brain ran that music all the way down, to memory, to meaning, to the ache underneath it, while the person beside you barely heard a tune. The thing they kept telling you to fix is the exact thing letting you feel the whole of your life, instead of just the surface. You were never too much. You were just built to feel more. And here's why that matters, beyond the science of it. If your sensitivity is an orchid trait, then the most important thing you'll ever do with it is choose your soil. The harsh, loud, careless places will cost you more than they cost other people. That part is real, and it's worth protecting yourself from. But the warm ones, the kind ones, the beautiful ones, will give you more than they could ever give anyone else. You don't need a thicker skin, you need the right room. And on the days the feeling is too much, you can name it now. I'm not weak, I'm just processing more than this place is built for. And step outside, breathe, and come back when you're ready. So I want to ask you something, and I genuinely love to read the answers. What's the thing that always makes you feel everything? The song, the film, the place, the one nobody around you ever seems to feel quite as much? Tell me below. And if your mind is the kind that runs everything deep, that turns a single moment over and over long after it's gone, then our video on overthinking is the next one to watch, because it's the same brain doing the same beautiful, exhausting thing. Subscribe to Pondara and keep wondering about the things you never thought to wonder about. You were never too much for the world. The world was just, sometimes, too much for you. And the part of you that feels it all is the same part that gets to love it all. Feel everything.